Thanks for joining us online at our weekly team meeting. Today we start a two-part series for real estate agents on our team focusing on being a successful entrepreneur. Brad Dale from Cherry Creek Mortgage is our presenter. Besides being a full-service mortgage banker, he's also a business coach, community leader, and proud father of 3 teenage girls. Please join me in part 1 of our series entitled The Keys for Long-Term Success. Here's Brad Dale.
I just want to thank you guys, David and Ben, for just giving me the opportunity just to share a little bit with you guys today. Not going to be too long, not going to be too deep. We're going to keep it kind of high level. I have found that oftentimes success in business is not about the complexity, but it's about the simple, but just doing it very consistently over time. So what I am going to share is kind of 2 keys for success. But first, before we do that, I just want to share a little bit of my story and just a little bit of who I am. So what you're looking at here is my school bus. It's actually a picture of me. I'm not exactly sure, what year that was. As I'm looking back, probably, I don't know, roughly maybe 6th grade, something like that. I grew up on a little farm ranch out in South Dakota. And believe it or not, I used to ride my horse to school. So if there was Laura Ingalls, was on the Little House on the Prairie, then I could have been at least a cousin. And so I lived out there, and it was. And the reason I kind of share this, and just to give you guys a little bit of background and just kind of a little bit of my journey and why I just some things I've learned over time. I've been here in the Twin Cities since 1987. I've been in finance that whole time, so it's coming up on about 30 years. I have been in the mortgage industry, helping people purchase homes since late '93, so over 22 years now. And as I said, I started out just as a little boy riding my horse to school back in South Dakota, and as I sometimes joke, my dream, was to come down here to the Twin Cities and find my fame and fortune, and I'm still looking. But there have been some lessons that I've learned along the way, and so that's what I want to share, just a little bit of that journey, and then get into a couple of the key points. So when I started my mortgage career, back in late '93, I was very fortunate to be introduced to a great mentor of mine by the name of Todd Duncan, and I started in the business in August '93. In October of '93, I was sitting in his first seminar out in California, and it has been literally just kind of changed my life, if you will, and it was just a matter of learning a number of different things as I talk about some of those key pieces when we get into the next slide here a little bit. But in that process, I've just been very, very blessed and very fortunate to just have some great coaches, some great career, some real failures and some real successes in my journey. And so I really, anything that I share with you guys today, I want you to know I'm just going to be sharing, kind of from the heart and what I've learned. The 2 keys to your success. What it really comes down to is there's a lot of different things, but the things I want to focus on today are really is going to be our health and relationships. What I've learned in 22 years of being strictly in the mortgage industry is that we are the engine, if you will. We are the machine that makes it happen. And so having the privilege, of going through the financial crisis and all that took, and seeing a lot of good people just in and out of the business, feeling very fortunate that I was able to kind of go through that time. One of the things that became very clear to me, life will happen. Life does happen. It's not a matter of if it will happen, if you'll have success, failures. It's going to happen. And so what do you really need? What did I learn that I really needed to be able to ride through the ups and downs of this real estate and lending environment? And it really did come down to, really in a broad sense, my health. And there's really 4 aspects of that. And I think of it as, if you will, if we talk about just the analogy of an engine, Think of really there's 4 primary cylinders in that engine that need to be firing and need to be firing on all cylinders if we're really going to run and have longevity in this business. And I'm just going to make that assumption that all of you listening on this call want to have longevity in this business. I'm a 22-year veteran, and I feel I still probably another 10, 15 years of high level left, and then from there, we'll kind of see where it goes. So the first one, again, is pretty straightforward. Physical. I know that oftentimes this is something that we can take for granted. I know I took it for granted. As I was young and building a business and had a lot of ambition and drive, and so it was really about let's just kind of put the nose to the grindstone. Let's not really take care of myself, and let's just work hard and make the numbers happen. So a number of kind of different things happened. One of them is, I found that I had a benign tumor in my lung. I had a lung removed, and so that was just a real wake-up call for me, and that there really needed to be some real changes in just how I went about, physically taking care of myself. Water, sleep, exercise. And so my encouragement, I share this, is because I really encourage you guys to, if it's not a part of your daily discipline, to really, or weekly discipline, to really make that something. And what I've come to understand, like in real estate, we build equity in our lives. And so this physical piece, and I'm 52 years old now. And so what I've come to understand is that if I don't build physical equity in my health, when life happens, whatever the event is, or just the stresses of it, then I will be upside down or bankrupt in that area. So, and it's nothing super complicated, but really it's just making sure you're getting sleep, water, exercise, eating well. Again, you guys won't get into too far of those specifics. Mental, very important. One of the greatest things that I learned is from the mental standpoint from my mentors and coaches is just this whole idea of being a lifelong learner. And you may have heard, kind of that, leaders are readers, but really I think it just comes down to the mental aspect of just being a lifelong learner. So my encouragement to you is, or question even is what are you reading? What books? Is there constantly something on your nightstand or on your Kindle or your iPad or whatever it is that you're reading to grow in that mental capacity? Spiritual. Some people, I've heard it say that, we're not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We're actually spiritual beings having a physical experience. So however you want to take a look at that, your perspective on life, I've come to understand that is a real, oftentimes the fuel for our human experience is how healthy we are in these areas, physically, mentally, spiritually, and then emotionally. I don't know if one of the things that we can talk about maybe in the Q&A is just if you're familiar with just this whole idea of emotional intelligence. So again, if that's something that's a new concept to you, I would encourage you to Google it, or there's some great books out there on emotional intelligence. I have found that working with people, and really that can be in any relationship, whether it's a spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, children, clients, that emotional intelligence, which is basically defined as the ability to identify and regulate our own emotions and those of others, has probably, I would say, been the key components to success in our business, is to be able to control our own emotions and those of others. And so that, and it's not that we're controlling their emotion, but we just understand their emotion and what could be triggering that, so then it doesn't really trigger us and that we go in a direction that we don't want. So second of all, relationships. And the top one there is just emotional responsibility, and that kind of ties in with that other one. I think that what I have found is that probably more than anything, the key success has been the ability to develop and maintain healthy relationships in all areas of my life. And so the key piece of that is the emotional responsibility. And that really, what I mean by that is that I take responsibility for my own emotions. So no matter I'm married, have 3 teenage girls, so I'm in that stage of life where my own emotional responsibility is very important because sometimes I find my teenage daughters don't always have emotional responsibility, so I need to make sure that I do and that I'm accountable for my own emotions. Second piece on that is simply, I think, in any relationships, people really do want to work and be around with people that they know, like, and trust. And so we could spend a whole lot of time on this, but the question I guess I would have for all of us on this call is, are we known? How are we being known? Are we going to the marketplace? People first need to know us, and that could be marketing. There's actually a great book out there called The Likability Factor. Are we likable? Am I likable? Are you likable? Because people naturally want to do business with people that they like. Of course, they first need to know you, then they like you, and then of course they need to trust you, which is really, again, what I have really come to understand is really character and competence. That character of integrity and honesty and values and who am I as a person, and then of course am I competent? Do I actually do what I say that I'm going to do? I think another key piece of this relationship that I have found that's been very helpful in my business is just being really authentic and sharing my story. For time I wasn't able to share all of my story, but so people do have a sense of authentically who I am, who are you, because that's how they get to know you, that's how they get to like you, to trust you. So it's important that we don't try to be what we think people want us to be, but we are truly who we are. Because one of my mentors says in regard to just even business modeling is that there's enough people out there that will do business the way you want to do business, not to worry about those who won't. And it's the same thing from relationships. Be your authentic self. There's enough people out there that will be drawn to you and for the right reasons to know, like, and trust, and that will be able to help you, achieve all your business goals. And it's a way that's done a lot less stress. And kind of to the last point down there, we make better connection. The more authentic we are, the more open, the more accepting, we have empathy for our clients and for our other loved ones. We make a stronger connection with people, and then have a lot more fun. That's the thing that my wife always, teased me about early, and I think that's why the good Lord gave me 3 girls, is because my wife has said, that I'm fun challenged. And so I've really had to learn, how to just have fun and how to laugh. And I will say that, after I'm probably having more fun in the business now than I've ever had. And a lot of it is because of just, for me, just being more authentic and just being who I am, and just having fun. And some people may like that, some people may not. Always respectful, always, again, aware, but at the same time, I just know that if I make that authentic connection, laugh, have fun, that is something that I think at the end of the day, most people really resonate, and they do want to have fun, whether it's, especially through this process. And as myself as a lender, this can be very boring, very dry. You're just shuffling papers, all that sort of thing. And if we're to create an experience for people, and so that they, do have fun, is how do we have some fun in this process? And so, with that, again, I'll stop here, and then from there we can switch to some Q&A or just discussion or any other thoughts that you guys have. And maybe the question to pose to the group was, from your perspective, what goes into developing or having a good relationship, and what do you look for in a good relationship? So with that, I'm done. Thank you.